Morning all. This is Radio Devon.
When I moved from television into radio, the first thing that struck me was I couldn't mug to camera. I had to vocalise what it was I was trying to get across. I had to use my voice a lot more. Had to use more description in what I was doing. Technically, I was suddenly without a script. Not that I totally used a script on television, but it is your belt and braces. You've got your autocue there. Of course, if that breaks down, you ad-lib around it. But in radio, suddenly there was dead air, and you had to fill it. And you had to fill it by being you, because the guest wasn't there for another half an hour, and there's only so many times you can say, and coming up in the programme. So you had to fill it with things that were about you and your life and what made you laugh and what interested you in the papers. So that's what I found to be a big difference.
Right, now listen up you lot. Are you all there still?
I think with radio you have to have more of a personality. I think you have to, yes, of course you have to be yourself, but that's one of the most difficult things to be. People often knock soap actors, well, one-trick pony, can only play a Cockney slapper, but it's the most difficult thing in the world to play yourself. Especially on the radio, you start to hear your voice in the headphones, and so you can play with your voice, and you can all hear the DJ that suddenly starts talking like that. So it's very difficult because the sound is amplified in a way that it isn't on television. So playing yourself, just being yourself is, I don't find it very difficult, to be honest. In fact, I find it easier because there's no script around to do it.
Are you hands-free, Jeff? Thank you very much, because you know, it's 3 points now and £60. You know. And quite honestly, the load of old tosh we're giving away won't make up for that.
My audience is me. It's people of my age. I'm 50 plus. That's who's listening to me. Who would I want to listen to? I'm not going to do something that I would find dull. That's my audience.
How old? Tell me a decade. What decade are you in then, John? 1960. Are you really? That's all right. Just checking, because sometimes we get a student in here and they're not welcome. Get out if you're a student. Lovely. Okay. No students on this show, please. We don't want you here.
I love humour, and I find most things in life funny. I have a black sense of humour, I have a slapstick sense of humour. I just find that there's an old bit, I'm using a quote, I never thought I'd do this. There's an old bit in the Jewish Torah that says, a lesson taught with humour is a lesson retained. You always remember something funny.
She's busy with her flaps today because she was buttering her baps last week. Yes. Okay. She got a dirty laugh, you know. Right. So I take it it's flapjacks, is it? Oh, good. Thank the Lord you said that. Right. Here we go then, Tracy.
I think I've pushed a few boundaries, but not boundaries of decency. I think it's very naive to think that people over 50 don't know about sex and don't talk about sex. That might have been so in my grandmother's time. But most people over 50 and 60, they like a good dirty laugh, actually, a smutty one. And there's certain words that perhaps had never been heard. I mean, I seem to remember we weren't meant to talk about. There was a show doing the rounds called The Puppetry of the Penis. Oh, don't put that in the guide. What, can't I say puppetry? And it just, well, what do I do with the vagina monologues? It's Eve Ensler's award-winning show. And it's just so naive to think that somebody somewhere is going to be offended by vagina and penis. Not if you throw it in willy-nilly, if you'll pardon the expression, and try and use it for shock value, of course. But I do perhaps tell jokes that haven't been the traditional fare of this station, shall we say.
Okay, is it a lay-by you know well, Jeff? All right, okay, just wondering.
I would advise anybody coming into radio who's new to radio and maybe quite young, not even quite young. Get a life. Get a life that you can talk about. Get a life outside radio and outside the BBC. Other things happen. Get a balance in your life. It isn't the be-all and end-all. Not everybody is hanging on your every word. The households don't come to a grinding halt when you come on in the morning, no matter how good you are. People are ironing, they're feeding, they're cleaning. You are background for the majority of the time. Don't analyse everything. Go, oh, did you hear that bit where I did that? Probably not, but they liked it anyway, or they didn't. Get a life. Become a rounded person, and then maybe you can do your job quite well. Yes, isn't it an exciting choice that you never thought you'd have to make?